If you're getting close to retirement, one question comes up all the time. Do I take my CPP early at age 60 or do I wait up to as long as age 70? What most Canadians don't realize is that this decision affects way more than just your government benefits. It can change how much tax you pay now versus later. It can reduce or increase your risk of OAS clawback. Depending upon how long you live, this could either save you thousands or cost you more than you think. That's why in this video, I want to break it down with a real-life case study. We'll walk through the numbers, compare what happens if you take CPP at 60 versus 70, and help you figure out some factors where the early RRSP withdrawals are actually the right move for you. Hi, I'm Stefano Francesca, Certified Financial Planner Professional at Next Step Wealth Management with IBC Securities Corporation. If you find this helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps more Canadians see this. Why would you delay CPP in the first place? Delaying CPP can be a powerful and often overlooked retirement strategy available to Canadians. I say it's overlooked because in 2024, only about 8% of new CPP recipients waited until age 70. 30% started at age 65 and 28% started at age 60. You can take it as early as age 60, but doing so comes with a permanent reduction of up to 36% compared to starting at 65. On the flip side, if you delay CPP beyond age 65, your benefit increases by 8.4% for each year, up to a maximum of 42% more at age 70. But here's what many people don't realize. That 42% deferral increase isn't simply applied to today's CPP amount. Instead, it's calculated based on the future value of your age 65 benefit, which is indexed to the growth in yearly maximum pensionable earnings. So delaying CPP doesn't just give you a bigger percentage of 42% more. It builds on a higher starting point as the system adjusts for wage inflation over time. The longer you delay, the more you benefit from both the 8.4% per year deferral increase and the inflation-linked increase in your base entitlement. This makes CPP one of the few retirement income sources that is guaranteed for life, adjusts upward with inflation, and rewards you meaningfully for waiting, especially if you live a long time. You'll see in the case study that delaying CPP from age 60 to 70 can increase your benefit by 150%. It's no wonder that people are considering the strategy. However, that's not the whole story. Of course, delaying CPP means you'll need to bridge the income gap in the meantime. That's where early RRSP or RRIF withdrawals can come in, giving you the income you need now while allowing your CPP to grow in the background. As always, whether this makes sense depends on your full retirement picture, your savings, income needs, tax brackets, and life expectancy. Why this matters in retirement? Think about what that means for your long-term plan. You're locking in guaranteed income, no matter how the markets perform. You're reducing the pressure on your investment portfolio later in retirement. And if you pass away first, your spouse may receive a larger survivor benefit since that's based on your entitlement. For many Canadians, delaying CPP can mean hundreds of thousands more in lifetime income, depending on how long you live. And with Canadians living longer than ever, many well into their 80s and 90s, that higher income in your later years can provide real peace of mind. But there's a catch. You still need income. Here's the fundamental trade-off: using your money in the CPP or using your money from your savings. If you delay CPP, you still need another source of income between now and when you turn it on. That's where your RRSPs or other assets come into effect. You might consider drawing from your RRSPs earlier in your 60s to bridge the income gap until CPP starts. You wouldn't be spending more. It's about strategic timing with where your income is going to come from. Instead of starting CPP and saving your RRSPs for later, you flip the script. Use your RRSPs at the beginning and let CPP grow in the background. This leads to a big question, and one that many Canadians are starting to ask. Does it make sense to spend down my RRSPs earlier just to lock in a higher CPP later? The answer will really depend on how you view the trade-offs. You'll see in the case study that the fundamental trade-off in this decision is really separated by your early retirement years and your later retirement years. What's the trade-off, you ask? Fundamentally, it's income versus assets. By delaying CPP, you'll be spending personal savings first, which means your portfolio needs to support more of your income early, and you could be drawing down on your estate transference and legacy planning. That's where things get a little bit more nuanced. So in the next section, we'll run through a case study to show how this decision actually plays out over time. Here's our case study comparing CPP at 60 versus 70. Let's examine a scenario to understand how the decision to start CPP at different ages can impact retirement planning. To be simple and clear, I'm only going to manipulate one variable in this oversimplified scenario, the CPP withdrawal date, in order to highlight the comparative results. In future videos, we'll optimize these case studies by changing other variables, but for now, out just CPP in order to emphasize the trade-off of income versus assets. Let's meet Paul and Denise. Both are 60 years old, recently retired, and residing in Alberta. They have saved a combined $1.3 million in RRSPs. They have no employer pensions. Both are eligible for approximately 80% of the maximum CPP benefit. They expect to receive full OAS benefits starting at age 65. Their target income is $6,500 per year after tax, which equates to $78,000 annually to spend using a 2.1% inflation rate. They considered two options. Option 1, start CPP at 60 and minimize RRSP withdrawals. And option 2, delay CPP to 70 and draw more from their RRSPs now to bridge the income gap. Their spending remains consistent in both scenarios to isolate the impact of CPP timing. Let's take a look at my screen and review scenario 1, CPP at 60. You can see here that they are receiving 80% of the CPP maximum for 2025, reduced by 36%, for a total of $17,610 between the two of them. By age 65, it's $19,538, and by age 70, it's $21,677 due to increases in inflation. You can also see that their RRIF assets stay intact from about $1.28 million at age 60 to $1.22 million at age 70. In this scenario, they're paying roughly $14,000 in taxes for the first 5 years. At age 65, that reduces thanks to various tax credits that become available from that point onwards. By looking at Paul's details at a more granular level, we can see that their marginal tax rate never exceeds 25% and that their effective tax goes from about 14.8% in the first 5 years to around 8% for a very long period of time in their retirement. At age 100, they have run out of money and spent the kids' inheritance. Now, let's consider scenario 2, where CPP is delayed to age 70. In the second scenario, if they defer CPP to age 70, the plan has some similarities and some significant changes. Spending is the same, taxes for the first 10 years are the same, and now here's where things change. CPP at 70 starts at a significant $54,147 per year in comparison to $21,677. That's an increase of 150% at that same age. RRIF assets are $252,000 lower, however, at $973,877. Taxes actually jump at age 70 to $13,500 and stay higher. At age 100, there's about $786,000 for the estate, whereas in the previous plan, they run out of money at age 100. You can see as well that their marginal tax rate doesn't climb over 25%, but their effective tax rate is a bit higher at 11 to 12% for the remainder of their retirement. In both cases, OAS clawbacks were not an issue, but something we need to be aware of. Now, let's go ahead and compare these two scenarios side by side. We can compare the cumulative effects of the plan at any age, so rather than pushing this out to age 100, let's look at the outcomes of the two choices at age 90. The first thing that really jumps out to me here is the difference in lifetime government benefits. Since we kept OAS the same for each plan, the difference is purely attributed to the increase in delaying the CPP. It's a significant difference of $652,000 more in favor of delaying CPP to age 70. You can also see here that at age 90, there's an increase of more than $281,000 in assets and corresponding $341,000 in after-tax estate as part of their legacy transfer. This looks very good for delaying CPP to age 70. Now, if we all knew our expiration date, financial planning choices would be really easy. What if they don't make it to age 90? Let's explore this by looking at another picture and taking some perspective. Remember the trade-off? Income versus assets. If we only consider government benefit income, we can see how good this picture looks for the deferral of CPP to age 70 onwards. However, looking at the asset graph gives us a different perspective. When we consider assets, we can see that at least in the first 10 years of retirement, they're doing much better with taking CPP early, $250,000 better. From age 70 onwards, the assets in both plans converge until the break-even point of age 82. After this, all other things being equal, Paul and Denise would be better served delaying the CPP. Finally, if we consider their legacy or estate transference, if they both pass away at the same time, taking CPP early is advantageous in early retirement all the way to the break-even age of 77, after which point deferral of CPP becomes a more enticing strategy. Our key takeaways. Delaying CPP can provide significant financial benefits, especially for those with longer life expectancies. Early RRSP withdrawals can create a higher after-tax estate value in later retirement, but drops the value of your estate in early retirement. Each individual situation is unique. It's essential to consider personal health, financial needs, and retirement goals. If you're approaching retirement and considering when to start CPP, it's crucial to evaluate your options carefully. Consulting with a financial advisor can help tailor a strategy that aligns with your specific circumstances. circumstances. What this means for your retirement plan. So what do we take away from Paul and Denise's example? Well, the numbers show that delaying CPP and drawing from RRSPs or RRIFs early can be a smart strategy, but only if it fits in your overall retirement plan. Here are 4 key takeaways you can apply to your own situation. Firstly, longevity matters a lot. The longer you live, the more valuable that higher CPP benefit becomes. If you or your spouse have a family history of longevity, or if you're in good health heading into retirement, delaying CPP may be a smart insurance policy against outliving your savings. On the other hand, if your health is uncertain or you don't expect to live into your 80s, taking CPP earlier might make more sense. Secondly, are you playing the long game or the short game? This can be viewed as an asset versus income choice in 2 phases. Deferral of CPP in early retirement means less assets at the beginning, however, greater certainty of income and potentially higher assets and estate value in the latter part of retirement. Conversely, early CPP can mean more assets at the beginning of retirement, however, much less the further you go, as you need more inflation-adjusted income from those assets later in retirement. Thirdly, delaying CPP reduces pressure on your investments later. On the back end, later in retirement, higher CPP means you'll need to withdraw less from your investments later in life. Think of CPP as a guaranteed inflation-protected income stream for life. The more of that you can lock in, the more stability you bring into your later years. And what type of investor are you? This has a big impact actually because of opportunity cost. If you're investing funds in a very conservative way, then your break-even point in favor of delaying CPP comes sooner because there's less of a cost to use your own money. If you're getting higher returns, then the break-even age for your assets is pushed back further because you're using your own more valuable money first. Finally, the first question is, can you afford it? Before you make any decisions about RSP withdrawals or CPP timing, you need to answer the most important question. Do you actually have enough to retire comfortably in the first place? If the answer is yes, then you can move on to questions like, how do I optimize taxes? When should I start CPP and OAS? How do I structure income from different accounts? But if the foundation isn't solid, if the retirement math doesn't work, then timing strategies won't fix the core issue. That's why we always start by testing your numbers, reviewing your goals, and building a personalized plan that works for your life, not just your spreadsheet. Key takeaway. So should you draw down your RSPs early just to delay CPP? The answer is, it depends. For many Canadians, this strategy can increase guaranteed income, provide more long-term assets, and leave more behind for the next generation. But for others, it might create unnecessary risk, especially if the numbers don't support it. That's why this isn't a one-size-fits-all answer. You need to consider your income needs, life expectancy, tax brackets, and personal goals. And most importantly, you need to know whether your retirement plan is truly sustainable. If you get that part right, then you can fine-tune the timing of your CPP and RSP withdrawals with confidence. If you're a Canadian retiree or within 15 years of retirement and you're thinking that this type of planning adds value to your life, let's get together and build a plan that gives you clarity. Click the link in the description to book a consultation. We help our clients test the numbers, walk through the trade-offs, and help you make the right decisions based on your specific retirement goals. Let's take the next step.